JJ, I believe you are muted, my man. JJ, I believe you are muted, my man. So JJ, you are muted. Here. I'm gonna send you a text. You're muted.
How does he not
JJ,
know?
if you'll just exit and come back in, I think that'll fix it, all right? But while we're waiting for JJ, what's up, guys? JJ, I'm just taking over for him for just a second. JJ is going to be leading us tonight. He's going to be the lead host. So once he gets back in, I'll turn it back over to him. But tonight, it's a very special show. We are going to introduce to you guys Kirk is with us for the first time. Kirk is an intern. He's going to be working with Sideline Sports. And he's going to be doing a lot of shows with us and doing some other stuff behind the scenes. So we're really excited to have Kirk on the team. JJ, can you have sound now?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, you're back.
All right, let's take it away. So I'm going to get the introduction again. You saw the lightning. You got the four finest men coming in like lightning today. We're going to talk about some sports over here. Because of my technical difficulties, you already got a chance to be introduced to our lovely intern, Mr. Kirk over here, who we going to say is not in charge of the Star Trek Enterprise, but he is behind scenes for us on the Gauntlet. Welcome, Kirk. Captain Kirk, not Kirk Cousins. You don't
I was going to say, I already trust you more than
Kirk Cousins. We know that.
I already trust you more than I trust Kirk Cousins.
And then on perfect segue to my over here.
Riz said that we got a Kirk that shows up in prime time.
I was gonna make that joke. It's like I've made more appearances, showed up more appearances, prime time versus Kirk Cousins. So I'm already better than him. So
there you go. Now with that being said, we're gonna go to the creator. I mean, when I tell you this man has anchored this entire entire show with all of us on here. He from Philadelphia, and when I tell you he got that Philly type of mentality, he has that Philly type of mentality. Mr. Philly Jim over here. What's going on, man?
What's going on, bro? It's just another week. It's just another show. So hopefully we're going to have a good one tonight. We got some good topics for sure.
And we got, thank you, Mr. James. And we got the guy who sometimes I think has Tourette syndrome, but I don't know. But we're going to sit there. We love him. He's from Detroit. Mr. Detroit Dom, below me.
Tourette syndrome. Wow. That hurt my feelings, JJ. I mean, I think I'm just hurt by the accuracy of your statement, if I'm being honest.
The truth hurts, bro.
It's all love.
It's funny, man. I said something at work today, like I joked about having Tourette's.
Oh, well, see, there we go. It all came full circle. Look at that on top. So what we're going to do is called, first up is everybody's favorite segment, because it gives you a chance to kind of come at some people for some really ridiculous, moronic, and idiotic things. It's our Sports Moron of the Week. And so
are you guys kidding me? Are you guys kidding me?
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure that was the are you guys kidding me? So with that being said, I'm not kidding you. Let's talk about it. We're going to start with the new guy, Captain Kirk. Who is your Sports Moron of the Week?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows already. It's been like viral all over social media. But Draymond Green, I understand. Like he stomped Domantas Sabonis game 2. I would say he got suspended for a game. Honestly, the Warriors look better without Draymond Green, but that's a different conversation from the other day. But if you're Draymond, like I understand that, like, you know, he landed right on top, fell on him. He had no control of where am I supposed to land my foot? You know, it's like it's an initial reaction. I understand that, but you cannot justify stomping on a grown man. That's not. You can't. That's just unacceptable. You can't do that. You just can't do that. And the fact that he's like double downing on it, it's like, you know, they're trying to target me. The refs are trying to target me, and the fans are trying to heckle me and stuff like that. It's like, it's just he's not taking accountability, and that's what it's only making this worse. And he didn't even like try to like injure him or anything. Like I think Klay Thompson pushed him down, and then he fell on Draymond. And he was trying to cover his head, and he wasn't like intentionally grabbing his leg like that. So like there wasn't anything like dirty or intentional or like to hurt Draymond. So I think it's just like a overblown reaction. Like you can't, you gotta like be a man, take accountability, and say that you messed up, because we all know you've done this. Like what? It's like the 4th or 5th time you've done this kind of stuff. We all know Draymond's a dirty player, so just and move on from it.
But it's funny.
You're gonna cause more
Hold on. It's funny that you said that, because to your point, I will say there have been times where I didn't think Draymond was dirty and he got a call, like last year against Brandon Clark. But this time, I think an important point is missed, like you did highlight. He looked down, he knew what was going on, and he decided to step on his sternum. And at the end of the day, Draymond, you do have to take accountability on that, because you could have flopped and got a foul. You could have looked at the ref and been like, yo, you see his hand, his leg is like, my leg is like caught him. There's just a couple different things. So I do understand with that one. I was going to let Dom go next, but I will have to jump in, because our comment was a perfect segue to what my sports moron is. My sports moron is not just Tony Brothers, it's Joel Embiid as well, because the ejections of James Harden and Nick Claxton was because Tony Brothers and his crew were not man enough to suspend Joel Embiid or eject him for a bratty move, because he got yammed on. Most big dudes don't like getting yammed on, and he got yammed on, and I don't care if he missed, the intent was there. You wanted to go for his groin because you were acting like idiot. You act like you ain't been playing this basketball for 10, 11 years. You act like you ain't been dunked on. I've seen you get dunked on. So why did you have to wait until now? And why did you go for this area? Because typically, if we are men and somebody kicks you on your groin or somebody spits on you, what the man gonna do? Beat your behind. Joel, you were acting like a brat, and because you were acting like a brat, and as opposed to just getting in the game and staying focused on what you need to be focusing on, you got your player injected, and you got everybody looking at this ref like he's silly. Don't get me wrong, he should have called the call on you, but you should have been ejected at that point for doing that idiotic move. So Joel Embiid is my main sports moron, but Tony Brothers is my backup sports moron because of what Joel Embiid did. Take it away, Detroit Dom.
I'm sure most because it hit Bleacher Report earlier. I have 5 sports morons. 4 of them, line players. The other were cut immediately, but I'm sure, as all of you know, let me see, it was Quintez Cephas. He's kind of buried on our depth chart, wide receiver. Moore is a safety. It's probably like our 4th or 5th safety, but he's great on special teams. Stanley Barrett, wide receiver. And there was also a Washington, what are they? Commanders. So, inconsequential Washington player, as well as first-round pick of the year, Jameson Williams. C.J. Moore got suspended indefinitely, 1 year or more, for gambling on NFL games, which apparently they were just in a cave under a rock, their hands over their ear, and Ridley did, and how he was punished. But I think what Barry Hill and Jameson Williams did was even worse, because you guys probably all know, but the main rules governing gambling in the NFL, you can't gamble on playing. It's not allowed, and understandably so. Just ask Pete Rose. You can gamble on the college sports and any other professional sports other than the one that you play. But the law is, said bet cannot be placed physically NFL team or club facility. I'm not exactly sure. All the details haven't. Apparently, Jameson Williams was either at the stadium, the practice facility. I think it might even extend to like the team hotel if you're on the road. But yeah, so he got suspended 6 games, and it sucks because we were counting on him to make an impact this year. So now, by the time he comes back, week 7 at the earliest, he's not. You don't hit the ground running like that. So now it's 2 almost lost years for our first round pick. A lot of my the less intelligent members of my fan base with the knee-jerk reactions are, we got to draft a receiver. All straight up, no. That's number 5 offense in the NFL, or 1.25% of those yards. So not worried about just dumb, so careless. So yeah, those guys, sports morons.
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying, Dom, but I don't think it's that bad what Jameson did, because Jameson got suspended off of a technicality. If he would have literally been anywhere else, then he wouldn't have got in trouble because he actually wasn't betting on the NFL. The other guys were betting on the NFL, which is why they got suspended for the year.
But to his point, that is what
technicality thing.
But that's the moronic thing that I understand what Dom's talking about. If you just walked outside and went home, you'd have been safe. Why would you go into your facility? Mind you, they do have the rookie symposium, and they do get overview on these things.
It was
kind of moronic. It was kind of moronic to sit here and actually bet at the facility when you know you don't have to. Just walk out, go 100 feet over to like the local McDonald's, and you'd have been good. The other ones, definitely. But Jameson, like, come on, bro. That makes no sense. But
overall, I don't really
and not just the symposium, although I promise you, he was told exactly what you can and can't do as far as gambling at the symposium, but probably, I almost guarantee you, additionally, after that, when Calvin Ridley got suspended.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to compare the situation to Calvin Ridley, because Calvin, he was betting not only on the NFL, but he was betting on his own team. You can't do that. So I don't have an issue with how
I never agreed with that.
I don't have an issue with how the NFL has handled this situation, because I feel as though Grizz's comment here is correct. Even if the fans think the rule is stupid, even if the players think the rule is stupid, because the league has all these partnerships with gambling companies, your DraftKings, your FanDuel, your
still
stuff
the
like
rules.
that. But that doesn't matter. The policy is in place. So it's your responsibility as an NFL player to be familiar that these policies are in place, just like for any regular person. You work I'm sure that all of us have had at least a couple jobs where we're like, man, this policy is dumb. I hate this policy. I think it's stupid. But we still have to follow it and adhere to it because we are a part of that organization. So the players not being aware of that is a problem.
So I will
have no issues with how the NFL handled it, though.
I'm going to definitely let you go right here, but I don't think it's a stupid rule. Like, I don't think it's stupid at all because, again, what do we always have an issue about when it comes to these games? Rigged, scripted, whatever. You allow gambling to take into place, they can script, gamble, and rig the game for their benefits. I don't think it's a stupid rule at all. I just think it's pretty simple. If it's not NFL related, go ahead and bet away. If it's NFL related, you can't bet. Point blank, period. And I think that as we have sports betting become more and more legal, the next CBA negotiations, there's going to be language about it, because that's not a stupid rule when you think about how you can influence a game because of how you want to bet. And now, go ahead, Mr. Philly Jim. Ask everybody, I want y'all to know something. You see how everybody's screen is like, horizontal and mine's is vertical, everything. I decided to be different and challenge. That's why I called Joel A.B. about, because I wanted to see my man Philly gym, see how I was different from everybody. But I'm gonna take it away, you man. Give me your moron.
My moron is Arizona Cardinals head coach and former defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, Mr. Jonathan Gannon, with his comments today from his press conference, where let's just break down the whole statement. I have it right here in front of me. Philadelphia is a tough market. We know this. We were 9-0, and they wanted me fired. We were the number one defense in every category. Why do they want me fired? Oh, you don't blitz enough. We led the league in sacks. We want to come over. You want to come call the defense have at it. So when he says they, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he was referring to not really the fan base, not really some of these other people that were saying stuff. He's referring to the media and the top journalists, saying that they were going to essentially they were in this press conference telling him to his face that people want you fired. That never happened. Also, the Eagles were never 9-0. Their first loss was to Washington, which made them 8-1. So he's wrong on that count as well. And on top of everything, bro, you're just kind of showing that you're soft and you care way too much what people think. In Philadelphia, yeah, there's a lot of criticism because it's a tough town. It's known for that. And if you have to point this stuff out, you're just showing that you let it bother you. And the people that allow that stuff to bother them, those are the people that don't really succeed in Philadelphia. You look at a guy like Jalen Hurts, who had nothing but all the criticism going into last year. And we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts' contract extension later in this show, but Jalen Hurts can't throw. He can't do anything. He's not going to be a successful quarterback. We heard all the stuff. But did he ever say a single word about it? Did he ever care about it? No, he just showed up to work every day, and he put together a great season. Does not care what people talking about him. If you let what fans and people are writing about you affect you, then you don't really belong in this position. And, to me, he's just kind of playing a victim role, and he's showing why people in Philadelphia were right about him when they did criticize him. But most of the stuff, especially him saying stuff like that about the top journalists in the media, it's unprofessional. Like, no journalist is going to show up to a press conference and tell someone to their face, hey, by the way, we want you fired. That's a good way to get your credentials, media credentials, taken away from you by being an idiot like that. So Jonathan Gannon, he's just absolutely full of crap. So he's my sports moron.
Sounds like someone's very salty. That's what I'd say.
1,000%, Kirk. He is salty like a salty pretzel at a Major League Baseball game.
So, I mean, good thing he went to Arizona where there's no media presence and no one cares what you do anyways.
What I will say, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So it's interesting. I will say, if he let off with saying Philly media is tough, I mean, I don't think that's not a factual statement, because if anyone, when you talk about Philadelphia, the first thing they say is when it comes to the media market, they are just as tough as New York. So I do understand that, but everything else that precipitates, I get it. And, he was just, I mean, I get the reason why he's considered, moronic. I guess he was sitting there thinking like, okay, like, y'all see this? Like, what the heck is going on? And you guys have turned on people who have been very successful for you guys in your history. So you guys have went back on somebody that was just as amazing. My boy, I'm calling you out, but y'all was calling for Howie Roseman's head, and now y'all love him. So it's like y'all flip-flop a lot, and I think that's what he was speaking to. And I think that's what he was talking about.
That's not the problem. That's actually not what I was pointing out. You can say anything about Philadelphia being a tough place to play. No one's denying that, but what I'm saying is none of the
Nobody said he's going to get fired.
None of the journalists showed up to an interview to his face and said, we want you fired. We want you out of Philadelphia. That never happened. And that's what Jonathan was basically trying to say. So that's why I have him as my sports moron.
Sounds good. Now, everybody, people in the world, I may look young, but I get forgetful sometimes. So my great teammates and camaraderie, thank you very much, Mr. James Tatum, because I was about to say, help me out, guys, because I'm trying to remember. I was going to jumpstart to Jalen, but thank God we got to a rather interesting player of the week. I will be very, very honest with you, because we are highlighting players now in the recent weeks that have been a little checkered. And, Johnny Manziel, fantastic player. I'm going to go ahead and end it. I'm going to end the sequence, but I want you guys to give your thoughts. We already did Captain Kirk starting off. We're going to go up to Mr. Philly Jim, and then we're going to go clockwise, and then we'll go ahead and go from there.
I loved Johnny Manziel when he was at college, and it's pretty crazy that he did absolutely nothing in the NFL. He only played 14 games. He had a losing record as a starter. I think he only went 5-7 as a starter. But his college career, man, he lit up the college football world. He was the first freshman to win a Heisman Trophy, and he was the first player in the SEC in history to pass for 3,000 yards and rush for 1,000 yards in a season. So Johnny Manziel was just running around. It was exciting to watch. He was just kind of playing that backyard football, making all kinds of crazy plays and stuff. I remember the one play he had against Alabama. He threw that touchdown pass. He pretty much looked like he was about to get sacked. And next thing you know, it was like he disappeared. He was like Houdini, and he went over there and he tossed a touchdown pass. But Johnny Manziel, very exciting college quarterback, and he just kind of had that party lifestyle, and that was just a lot more important to him than, trying to be a successful quarterback in the NFL, which is why we know that he did not last too long.
All right. Very insightful. Very, very, very insightful.
Also, pause.
Okay. Whatever that means. Okay. Captain Kirk. What you got?
Well, I would say every time I think of Johnny Manziel, I texted James when he gave me the show rundown earlier. I just texted him a picture of him, just him partying with the firecracker and everything. That's literally, he was the ultimate frat boy, party party player. That's the biggest complaint coming out of college, his maturity and character issues. I'm pretty sure he got arrested a couple of times as well, or at least got complaints as well during A&M. But in terms of his as a player, as a quarterback, he was electric, man. He looked like Frank Tarkenton out there, scrambling around the pocket, just backyard football, throwing up there to Mike Evans. Especially that game against Alabama, that was probably one of the best college games I ever watched when it comes to offensive firepower and everything. But I knew it wasn't gonna work out. He was too small, the framing, his play style and everything. He, like I said, he benefited off of Mike Evans. Those 50-50 balls that he would catch all the time. He had a big part of that. And if you get drafted to the Cleveland Browns, that's honest, that's a death sentence. You're not gonna bring that team a Super Bowl or anything. That team is cursed. And give props to Baker Mayfield, because he was the one good thing that the Browns had the past 2 decades. So he was never meant to be the guy he was supposed to be coming out as the draft prospect. So, but he was entertaining. He was entertaining as hell, both on and off the field. That's what I would say about that.
I think Dom is going to lead into it, but I think you definitely did say a bold statement talking about Baker Mayfield being the main really great thing, knowing they have a top 2 running back. They also
I was going to say, I guess Nick Chubb is just imaginary.
And to your point, back at that point, his college teammate was the focal point of that defense, and Myles Garrett. So that's really interesting that you brought that up and you made that bold statement. I like it, Captain Kirk. Don't give us too much heat. Simmer down a little bit. Simmer down. Now, let me go turn over to Mr. Detroit John. And take it away, buddy. Talk about Mr. Manziel. What did Manziel do for you?
Definitely, like both of these guys said, electric in college, but the writing was on the wall. Multiple scrapes with the law and or arrests, and then getting, like Kirk said, getting drafted by Cleveland is a death sentence. Granted, when he got drafted, that was before
Miles.
before Myles Garrett, before Nick Chubb, before that great offensive line. But yeah, it's funny. You guys ever watch Tosh Point L?
Yeah.
Right when Manziel got in his first scrape with the law, he was like, "Hey, everybody needs to ease up on Johnny Manziel. You try being sober in Cleveland." But yeah, it was never gonna work. And the thing is, like, to Baker's credit, to some extent, because he was a carbon copy clone of Johnny Manziel to me, and he was.
I can't really get behind that because I think the difference in him is I don't think Johnny at any point loved the game of football. He loved being a star and being in the spotlight, and he cared about the party lifestyle, kind of like Kirk was talking about it. I don't never got that vibe with Baker. I think Baker just, maybe you can compare their playing styles because Baker ran around a little bit and he was
cocky, undersized,
like Baker grabbing his nuts and stuff like that. But I think that Baker, deep down in his heart, he does love the game of football. Johnny, I never got that idea.
So interesting. You guys get amazing things. Johnny was your modern day Joe Namath. Honestly, modern day Joe Namath, for the simple fact of the matter is,
I was going to mention that.
He liked the famous, he liked the glam, he liked the highlight, he liked all the Hollywood fame that came with it. And I remember when he got drafted, TMZ was on his behind because they knew he was must-see TV. He was must-see headlines. And I remember them coming at him after he was getting caught up with those college girls and things of that nature. And he gave them a soundbite that I can't remember at the time, but it was worth for them exactly giving them what they want. To be very honest with you, Johnny only got his job and only made the first-round pick because he beat Alabama. That's it. He is not that great, but he is a great player in college, exciting-wise. And at that time, Nick Saban, Alabama were dominating everything. And when you beat them, it made everybody think like, oh, what's going on here? Let me see what's up with this Thursday. And so that is why I feel like that catapulted him to getting the job. And yes, to you guys' point, he went to Cleveland at a time where you go to Cleveland to pretty much have your career die. They were not good. They weren't going to be good. They had so many issues. They had just tried Brandon Weed and it didn't work out. The Ravens were doing great. The Steelers were doing great. The Bengals were treading lightly. There just was not a team that if you were trying to turn a franchise around, you wasn't going to do that from just drafting one guy as your staple, as your quarterback. Now, today's game with how they are acclimating to the RPO style, acclimating to a college level offense, there would have been a better chance for him to sustain or make a longer career than he did when he got drafted back then, when it was still the era of the prototypical pocket passing quarterback, because Manning was still going on. He just went to the Super Bowl. Tom Brady. The only people that really was doing it that was actually mobile like that was Russell Wilson like that, really. But it wasn't, because RG3 was fading out. So it just, at that time, it wasn't there. Now, he might have a chance. He might have had a chance. Don, what were you going to say before we segue?
I can't remember. I think it was actually about Baker. If Baker Mayfield was as good as he thinks he is, he'd be the best quarterback in the NFL.
So here's my thing, and I want to address this. I'm glad you brought him up. I do understand where James is coming from. Number one, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys can relate, when you're not over 6 foot, you do have a Napoleon complex with you. You are going to be a little bit more agile. You're a little bit more agitated. And I remember Jenny Taft. And if you know Jenny Taft, everybody, Jenny Taft is a college football reporter guru. She interviews all college football players at the height. And I remember on First Take, Undisputed, she had said it. She's like, Baker likes to get people started. Baker likes to get people upset. He wants that. You see him in the beginning of the game starting with fans because that's the energy that he wants. And I understood that when he got into the league. And I think with the league with him, the whole saga between him and Hugh Jackson swayed him heavily in that year because he was essentially almost like a ploy or a play for Hugh Jackson to kind of assert his will. Like, you bring him into the office. But I do understand what you're saying. He's cocky, but he's 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", and you in a game where you got 6'6", 5'11", 6'3", egotistical guys just like you. Oh yeah, you're gonna be brash. You're gonna be trying to be cocky because if you don't, it's a dog-eat-dog world. You get dog too.
And I will say this, like you said about being like short, small, like frame quarterbacks. Talk about this year's draft, like Bryce Young, right? Although he's more of a polished passer and like more like a pocket passer, like there's question about like, oh, can he survive? Like I don't know what his weight is, but I think he's like on like 210, 215,
barely 200 pounds,
under 6 foot. Like
can
he can
throw over
basically
people 6'5"?
Yeah, something like that. He can like they're like that's what. Otherwise, if he wasn't like that, like if it wasn't for his size, he would be undoubtedly be the number one pick of this draft because he is the most accomplished quarterback in Alabama history, and over Tua, because Tua had like he had accurate issues, plus because he was left-handed and durability and stuff like that. But that's
Bryce has a Heisman.
If that was Johnny Manziel, he would be number one because he was just 10 times more entertaining than Bryce Young ever was.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing I have about Johnny Manziel, I forgot to say this earlier when I went, but one of the worst ever takes in the history that any human has ever said was when Johnny Manziel was drafted by the Browns and our buddy our guy JJ brought up Undisputed. The head honcho of Undisputed, Skip Bayless, said that when Johnny Manziel was drafted that, Johnny Manziel's going to be a greater star of Cleveland than LeBron ever was in his life.
I remember that.
That's one of my favorite takes in the history, and I just had to bring that up.
And that, and to your point, I remember that right there. And then as we're about to transition to the next topic, we do remember that there was a team that had a star on its logo that actually wanted Johnny Manziel, but the Suns,
Jerry really wanted him.
That's it. Jerry wanted him, but Steven drafted Zach Martin and Tyron Smith, 1 to 2, in place of going for Johnny Manziel. Obviously, you've seen what happened between those dudes. All-time Hall of Famers, best in the league for many years. They definitely were all-decade everything. So it's just interesting that they say that they wanted Johnny Manziel. Interesting type of quarterback. I do think flashy, exciting, but that's what college is about. Flashy, exciting players. There's a reason why the percentage of players making it to the league decreases drastically from players making it onto a college team and being able to play. Now, with that being said, we have in Johnny Manziel. We're going to segue to our next topic, which is our ability for Jalen Hurts, who agreed to a 5-year extension for $255 million. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, James, the figures are guaranteed as $155 at signing.
Something like that.
And then, I will
not have the exact numbers, but
Dom, I was going to let you go ahead, but I think I'm the last two topics for you because since this is Philly Jim's boy, we're gonna let him start it off with our boy Jalen Hurts, and I'm gonna count how many minutes something happens before it actually happens. But go ahead, keep going.
Well, get your clock going, but listen, man. Very happy for Jalen to get this deal. I think that he is the future of the Philadelphia Eagles franchise. What he did last season, he was outstanding. He proved a lot of people wrong, and I think that he deserves to be paid. I think that when you look around the league, There's a lot of talented guys, but I think Jalen is right there in the mix with a lot of these guys that are playing at the top level. And I think for the Eagles side of it, it was very important for them to get this deal done as soon as they could because, we know how the quarterback market is. We know how everything fluctuates. I think for the Eagles, they had to get a deal done with Jalen Hurts before the Cincinnati Bengals get a deal done with Joe Burrow, before the Chargers get a deal done with Justin Herbert, because as we know, you got to top the next guy. So whoever is the next guy to get paid, if it's Joe Burrow, if it's Justin Herbert, or any other quarterback that's looking to get their next deal, they're going to be looking, well, the latest deal was Jalen Hurts, and we want a deal that's similar to that. And you know what? I think that it's a great move by the Eagles, and what I'm really the most impressed about is the overall structure of the contract. I thought was really good. Obviously, he does still have another year left on his rookie contract, so that is factored into the cap hits. But the cap hits over the next several years is not too crazy. It's nothing like anything crazy. I don't think that it's going to cripple the team. I think that the Eagles will still be able to make moves to improve the team. So overall, the structure is really good, and Jalen got the money that he deserves. So I really think it was a win for both sides.
So that's excellent. You're 100% on the money. Everybody knows Philly Jim is from Philadelphia. So if there's anybody that was going to be able to give the contractual breakdown or give you more insight on what's been going on in Philly, it's him. Captain Kirk, you my boy, but we're going to go diagonal this time. We're going to slant over, wrong way, down here to Mr. Detroit.
Let's see. How do I want to start this off? Happy for Jalen Hurts. As James knows, I've been a Jalen Hurts supporter since day one. I was upset that the Lions didn't draft him. And he earned that money. Me personally, if I'm Jalen Hurts, I don't think he necessarily demanded that kind of money, but like I said, he did earn it. But given the situation that Philly was in the offseason with their cap and the players they had to let go, if it was me, I'm not going to demand that sort of money. To this day, it still seems like Tom Brady is one of the only quarterbacks that knows you can still make a boatload of money while saving your team money so they can re-sign guys, go out and get free agents. But he definitely set the market. Oh, by the way, 179 million guaranteed. But like James said, the way it's set up, it's very fiscally responsible for the Eagles. And I would have to say, especially with Brock Purdy coming back, who knows when, I would say the Eagles are the odds-on favorite to get back to the Super Bowl. And now they have their quarterback, and now they paid him. So everything's good on all fronts with Philly, other than the fact that they just brought Matt Patricia into the building. So I don't think Darius Slay is too happy. Oh, I had to. If Darius Slay doesn't RKO Matt Patricia as soon as he sees him, I might not be.
It might happen at some point.
So to be honest with you, it's funny. It was Matt Patricia. I knew that was coming. Deep-seated annoyance with him. Kirk, go ahead. Take it away from me. What are your thoughts on the extension that Jalen Hurts got?
Yeah, apparently, the contract seems to be more favor to the team, but in terms of his actual play, he deserved it. He proved the haters wrong. He was able to work on his deep ball accuracy that most he was criticized for during the offseason. In terms of going forward and the cap space situation for the Eagles, that's gonna be a little bit tricky because there's a lot of older, a lot of vets like Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, who are probably gonna be leaving in the next couple of years, and you're gonna need to find some replacements, and that replacement might go through free agency. And so Harry Roseman needs to really step up his draft game because they got 2 first-round picks and like a second-round pick this year, and they lost both of their starting safeties, and they lost both of their starting linebackers. So they're gonna need to shore up that defense a little bit. In terms of Hurts, I think he's gonna do well. I think he's gonna continue to improve. But I think no matter how like the contract is structured, he's still gonna get at some point $50 million guaranteed, which is the highest paid by any player per like in a yearly basis. So he needs, in order to justify that contract, he needs to start playing like he did this year, like every other year. Anything less than that is considered a disappointment, in my opinion.
Consistency.
It's interesting you brought it up because yes, they did, and they also lost, in my opinion, the biggest loss was I think their best defensive lineman and Javon Hargrave, who now is on another team that they more than likely will have to see to get to the Super Bowl if they want to go again. But I will say I do think the defense is going to come. Granted, they almost lost their star corner to my team, but he doubled down and went back with them. But that's a good point. I do think Jalen is well-deserved. Philadelphia is considered the city of brotherly love. And when you talk about brotherly love, you talk about loyalty, you talk about dedication to one another. And what is Jalen Hurts? He talks about his comrades. He is all about the dedication to the city. So I think this deal made perfect sense because I think they really seen that, okay, this guy loves Philly. This guy loves us. We can reward him for this because we're going to do what we can as much as he's going to do what he can for us to help us get to the next level. And in a league that is offensively driven, it does help to still have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, that offensive line. They did lose Miles Sanders, I believe, to Carolina. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
But they are a team that has an RPO style and has a similar offense to a team that I know very well. Running backs can plug in and be able to still be able to sustain.
B.J. Robinson.
So long as
I was just about to say,
and
now go get Bijan.
And they have that offensive line. You have arguably a all-time top 10, top 15 center and all-time with Jason Kelsey, and you have a premier right tackle who is the anchor on the other side to your left tackle in Lane Johnson. But I do think Jalen's contract is well-deserved. Jalen's contract, give you guys a ton of credit. You didn't bring it up. It was brought up in the comments. You didn't bring it up, so I'll give you
back to Cowboy X Factor.
Correct. Of course, it leads
I only didn't because I knew you were waiting for me too. So I was like, I'm not going to say it.
So I whether you said it or not was actually fine. I was just surprised, and I think James, he didn't even touch it to it when he talked about the other quarterbacks getting paid. Now, if you guys want to give like a couple comments on that after I do it, you're more than welcome to when it comes to this contract. Now, with Lamar's contract, is he getting the bag soon? To be honest with you, the structural breakdown for what I understood of it, he would have been able to get more and be able to do more over the time frame with the contract that was currently offered to him back then that he denied. I don't think he's going to get – I think Lamar's going to get a bag, but not the most expensive bag that he could have gotten because I think he overstated his value in terms of negotiations. And with Jalen Hurts getting his contract, a guy that was very similar to Lamar Jackson, of course it's going to put a little bit more on him like, hey, they're signing, and he actually did further and advanced, help this team advance further than you did. And granted, almost won it. You know, it's not as if they got to the Super Bowl and got blown out and he just looked like the moment wasn't too big for him. He got there and won it.
Almost won it. Mahomes.
And almost won it. And so for me, I will end it with this. If let's say the fully guaranteed turns to be true, or this whole conversation about fully guaranteed, the highest money, whatever, if that quarterback in Kansas City ain't get it, you ain't getting it. Because there's only one quarterback in this league who has the best case to actually get anything fully guaranteed, and that's the guy who's been to 5 AFC Championship games, 3 Super Bowls, and won 2 of them. If he ain't got it, you ain't getting it. You guys take it away.
Well, I just really think that for Lamar, I think there's more pressure on him because now you're in a position that, you see Jalen Hurts get paid. So his only real option is to go out this season and have an outstanding season. And then hopefully the Ravens give him, the crazy amount of money that he's looking for. But, I think we got to also give Jalen Hurts agent a lot of credit for getting this deal done because, there wasn't really any standoff between the two sides. It was just like, whatever, we're talking, we're negotiating, boom, deal's done. So I think that working with the NFLPA to represent Lamar, it's just not really working. So I think Lamar needs to take a look at the market and see if there's any agents out there that he thinks he would work really well with. And then that can be a good step in the right direction to seeing him get the deal that he's trying to get.
Why not get the agent that, and now Kirk, go ahead and take it away. And then I'll say this and let you go ahead. So I'm sorry for this, but shout out to Jalen Hurts' agent, the young lady who came in and has demanded the best for his guy, and his entire management team are all young, aspiring African-American women. And so with that being said, maybe Lamar, you look at his agent and talk to Jalen to see if that she can be his agent as well. If that's the case, if that's a potential, because they do have a good relationship. Go ahead, Mr. Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, you guys hit it like right on. I was gonna bring up that point. Like, Nicole Lynn is like one of like the top agents in sports and like in general. Like I think she also like the agent for George Pickens as well. It represents other like great athletes as well. I think she deserves just as amount of credit for the contract negotiations as Jalen Hurts did. She's also like one of the first female led sports agencies out there, and that's important because we all talk about all the time. It's like diversity, equality, stuff like that. So to see something happen like a woman in sports and like in her position doing what she's doing right now is historical. And another thing is there are two things that Jalen Hurts has that Lamar Jackson hasn't, which is one, a good agency, which we just talked about. Another is postseason success and durability. What's the biggest knock on Lamar Jackson is that
that's
only
three
won.
Things.
That's three things. Well, you can combine it into one because I'm combining it into one. But
he's not durable to be in the postseason to get the success is what I think he's going at.
He's not durable. He's not available. I think he only played in 10 or 8 games this past couple seasons, and he always won one playoff game.
11 apiece.
And Hurts, even though in his first year, he done that all in this past season, and he like you said, he almost won the whole thing. So that's something Hurts has an advantage of over Lamar, and it's probably the reason why the Ravens aren't, giving him that type of money that he wants. So,
but that's to your point, and I'll let Dom finish it off. Two things that were said that I think was mentioned, especially the most previous comment. Lamar is his agent. That's on his own. That's on him. And number two, and actually a Ravens fan made a great point about this. Postseason success will trump an MVP every day of the week. So why would I pay you all this money if I don't know 100% you can get us to where we need to go and we want to go? So if you get us, now let's say this year, this is a chance for Lamar. If he plays this year with Odell Beckham, hopefully healthy or whatever, and he gets to the playoffs and he gets to an AFC championship game and almost winning, I bet you the bag will come to him next season to what Kirk has said. That postseason success and durability is probably the biggest factors that may be thinking all right, you want this much? We have to consider this as well with the Baltimore Ravens, and I'll let Dom finish it right now. We had a guy come in as a rookie, go to 5 straight playoffs, 3 AFC championship games, 1 Super Bowl, won it, and got probably the best touchdown interception ratio of any quarterback until Patrick Mahomes, and that's when he got his contract and got paid. He don't have no MVP, and he shows you he got the postseason success to get what was at that time the highest contract for any quarterback. You got to get that postseason success because MVP is only for you. MVP is good for you. The team wants to have somebody that's good for you and good for them. So you got to get us to the postseason, and you got to be effective. You got to take down Allen, Mahomes, or Burrow, and I think you'll get that bag.
JJ, I have to say it's good to see you coming back to earth and or reality about what Lamar Jackson is or isn't.
No, hold on. Make no mistake. Let me cut you off. It's not about what I think he is, because I definitely think he can get it done. I'm just telling you why I think the team has been hesitant about it. So I'm still on earth when I'm at where I was with the opinion of Lamar. That's what I want to make that clear. Not about I don't think he can do it. He just has to do it if he wants the money.
Agreed, 100%. Here's all I'll say, because I think there's at least a decent chance, a better chance than there isn't, that Deshaun Watson rebounds and goes back to being a top 5-ish quarterback, and Burrow's already there. Even if Lamar Jackson has a great year, he could conceivably be the 3rd best quarterback in his division.
Interesting enough, Deshaun has been smacked both times he faced Lamar. Like, he got smacked. Like 41-7 and 31-17 the last 2 times he's faced Lamar Jackson. And I think they lost. He wasn't playing this year when they faced each other, I believe. But he got smacked both times. Deshaun has never beat Lamar. And
True.
Lamar has outplayed him in both situations.
Except for that great game between Louisville and Clemson.
Exactly.
That was an amazing game.
So Watson's always felt like that MVP, that Heisman was his. And Lamar was sitting, it's like, they love each other, but Lamar outside of college in the NFL has gotten the better of him. Now, to your point about Deshaun, this Cleveland team, if he gives him anything close to what he got in Houston, is definitely a playoff team. From the way that they're constructed with Nick Chubb as their running back, with Amari Cooper, David Njoku, and then you have that defense. If they can get their people healthy, like Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward healthy, Deshaun at his highest.
Greedy Williams is a Philadelphia Eagle.
Oh, well, never mind Greedy. But their defense, I meant to say, if they get healthy, Deshaun's trajectory is postseason possibility of making a conference title game. That's the reason why they paid him that fully guaranteed contract. Because at the end of the day, they also seen the Ravens had Lamar Jackson. The Cincinnati Bengals had Joe Burrow. They were like, we need that guy that's going to be able to compete with these guys for the next 5 or 6, 7, 8 years. And I think that's why he got that contract.
Either that or they were tired of blowing draft picks. So they're like, oh, we'll just give a ridiculous contract to a guy we trade for.
Very true. So I think we are on our last topic of non-sports topic because we are at 9 o'clock. So we got like a couple, 5 minutes? What's that, James? Like 5?
5 and
we got
change.
About 7 minutes. We started a little bit late today.
Okay. So with that being said, you guys, we're going to give it Mr. Detroit Dom. Detroit Dom, because no shade, you are the oldest one here, so you might be able to give us a favorite show we don't know, so we can check it out. I want you to give us your Mount Rushmore of favorite TV shows.
Sopranos, Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad. I've been thinking about this all week. The fourth one is so hard, so I'm going to say Simpsons. Just because it's like the second longest running TV show of all time.
I'm surprised you're not going to say MASH.
No, you know what MASH means to me? MASH means when I was, 8 to 12 years old, and you hear that music come on, that means it's time to go to bed.
Or like Dallas. So, Captain Kirk, first of all, let me ask you a question. How old are you, my good man?
I'm 22.
You're 22, so you may give us insight on shows that you came up with that maybe we haven't seen either, because outside of James, everybody else on this panel is over 30.
Well, thank you. I'm representing the Gen Zers right now, so
you are.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got.
Which is almost a completely different representative. But I'm not really a big TV show guy, but I mean, I have watched like Breaking Bad and The Office, and that's great and all. But like most of the TV shows and movies I watch are like superhero like TV shows, like The Flash, Arrow,
Loki.
Some of the new Disney Plus shows Marvel's got, like The Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, stuff like that. So, in terms of my Mount Rushmore, I would put The Flash, season 1 of Loki. You know, that's the only season. The final season of Arrow, and there's 4 people on Mount Rushmore, so I need one more, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, 4 people on Mount Rushmore.
Okay, so what? And then I will put in. I'm gonna put in Moon Knight. So there you go. I'm pretty based.
Okay, I like that superhero thing. So I'll tell you one thing for sure. You and I can have a conversation all day because I love superhero movies, superhero shows, all of that. So that's good to know that you like superhero stuff. I did like that. So, and Danielle Panabaker, shout out to her for being Frost. Love her. Thank you. So with that being said, Mr. James.
And she's dead now.
Yeah, I heard she's dead. You're right. Just okay. So thank James. What
okay, I'm gonna have a good mixture. A lot of people know that I'm a big anime guy. So I gotta have at least one in there. I just have so many of my childhood memories watching the Yu-Gi-Oh series. The Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon that was my first anime. It was the first thing that got me into it. Then I started watching Dragon Ball and all the other stuff. So I'm gonna throw Yu-Gi-Oh in there, the original series. It was a great series, but there were also so many funny moments. Like my favorite character was Kaiba. And Kaiba was always, making jokes and stuff. Like I remember in the Orichalco season, they were sitting in a helicopter, and then he told the Pharaoh, he was like, "Hey, bro, you need to stop trying to save the world and get a life or something." Like it was just hilarious. I'm gonna throw SpongeBob in there as well because as an adult, as a kid, you kind of view things differently, but as an adult, when you look back on some of the certain moments of SpongeBob, there's this joke from SpongeBob that you can relate to real life in basically every situation. So I'm going to throw SpongeBob in there as well. I'm going to put the Fresh Prince in mine as well because it had a good mixture of feel-good moments, heartwarming moments, and it was also, very funny. Like the scene where, Will gets the gift for his father, and he's like, why doesn't he want me, man? Like, I think everyone remembers that moment. It was so impactful. And also, I'm gonna go with The Office. I think The Office was just so funny. There were just so many funny jokes and characters in that show that I gotta put that in my top 4 as well.
All right. Great shows. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go back to something that Dom had said. He has Sopranos. I like The Wire. The Wire to me is top 5, top 2. It's one of my favorite shows ever. Now, I will let you guys know this is subject today because I'm getting to know new shows and things of that nature. I also love Game of Thrones. Okay. I would have to say that is definitely a top 5, top 4 show for me because I have watched it only once. I've watched it twice already, and I just started watching it last year, and I'm preparing to watch it again. Anime for sure, because Yu-Gi-Oh is by far one of my favorite shows I've ever watched. And I do remember what James is talking about with the different scenes with Kaiba. Like, Kaiba was the type of person that he needed your help, and he would tell you being foolish for acting like you need to help me. Like, what is wrong with you? And then Joey and Taya, all of them were funny and everything, but I love magic and mystical arts, and I love the duelist ability. And I have to end this with this one, 24. I love Jack Bauer, and I loved 24 and the scandals, the terrorist threats, the killing, the characters coming on, and I like shows that you can see over the years as they keep going more and more seasons. You see how developed the show is, and you see how impactful like people coming on the show, like Regina King, John Voight, all of these guys. And 24 had a season in Washington D.C. I think it was season 7 or 8, the season before last, where they were in D.C. right after they got on the strike. So it was like it came into my city. And I remember I was trying to figure out how I could get on there to try to be like that new guy that was just got hit by an explosion or whatever. But 24 is that. Love 24. Jack Bauer, who is somebody you just don't want to mess with. And that, honestly, you know what, guys? Thank everybody for being here. That concludes our show. Like, subscribe, follow all of us. Like, subscribe the show. YouTube channel for Philly Jim. If you guys want to do a quick run around where people can find you guys. Kirk, start with you since you're the new guy. Where can we find you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at KirkCFullSale. That's KIRK with a capital K, capital C, and then Full Sale. I retweet all my articles on Phantom Sports there as well. And yeah.
Well, you know what? Everybody knows where we can find Jim, Philly Jim. I mean, sure. Dom, you know where we are here, and you got me, Joseph Jenkins, JJ, Mr. Wizard. You know it came, but these guys are amazing. Thank you guys for tuning in. Come back again next week. We're gonna be back on here talking it up, doing it again, and our other beloved horseman, Mr. Jay Nelson, will be coming back.
We'll be back next week.
All right, you guys, have a good one now. See y'all next time.